or nothing. But that smell good, yo. It's taking advantage of that.
It's part of the imagery.
Yeah, man. You know who told me that? That nigga, this guy Chris that we work with. That I work with the video.
Oh yeah, wanna play ball?
Yeah, and you already felt the aura with him,
what's
right?
up with him, man? I don't know about that.
But still same thing, man. He rolling, man, for the house and everything. Okay. But he still rolling, man. But
still playing ball?
I don't think so, man. I think he done chilled out on that too.
Okay.
He done all kind of chilled out.
Yeah, but family and all
that. But and he's heavy into the scent, and it's crazy because he's a Gemini, and when you get into the astrology and everything, and you know, these cards and the tarot, you find out that he that's associated with smell, that Mercury type shit with a Gemini and shit like that too. So he right, and they're lovers and that's the lovers card anyway too.
Cologne, some shit maybe in that space.
Right, and that's the thing.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, so he don't believe in that shit at all. But I know that his sign is the ruler over scent and smell and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know about it.
And he don't know nothing about it. He don't go that deep and shit. You know what I mean? But Gemini knows a little bit about everything anyway. But you know what I mean? Just some things ain't gonna accept. But it's what it is. But how y'all doing today, man? We back again.
Peace and bliss.
Yes, indeed. And you know, me and the good brother AKiE, we back in here again and shit. You feel me? And we this little tribal rights talk right here. Wanted to drop a Chiefs video, Mr. Raw HAYES, Tahuti number 50 itself. Just because he asked that we go ahead and get this out to the public. I think this is about the fastest way I can get it done. You know what I mean? It's very important. The corpus in this video that you'll see a flicker of, you know what I mean? I've ordered already, you know what I mean? It's an expensive book, but it speaks about our rights and it's up to date as of 2020. So we'll be doing a little bit of that next week, a little bit of what's in it, you know what I mean? We don't want too much on this internet or whatever, because we trying to you know, keep the word alive, you know. Yeah.
Peace and bliss. Respect.
Yes, indeed.
John, excuse me. But yeah, bro, I appreciate all your bill, man. We here for that, man. The truth is to be heard.
Right.
And all facets. So that's what we here for today, man. Without further ado, man, I'm gonna play the video.
Yes, indeed.
We have up with the brother King Slew. Titled Uncle Rob. Excuse me.
Yes, indeed.
Free Larry Hoover.
Yep. Mr. Raw HAYES, free Larry Hoover and stuff. So we're gonna make sure y'all understand the agenda.
Yeah. Can I see that?
Larry is the focal point. So we're gonna go ahead and put the camera on it. So yeah, you see the screen right there, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So how I'm doing?
Put it up there. Tilt it up a little bit so you can get the.
I think we can
just tilt it up like a little bit. You can see the TV though, but it's kind of you see the behind of the table and everything. Yeah, there you go. Press play now.
So, while I'm letting y'all get in here,
you zoom in?
Chief know that on Morpheus. So, I'm finna prove to y'all that they gave us our shit back and they are out of the way. And all we have to do is acknowledge our oral right from our tradition to call forth these kings on the land to give us a reporting of what's taking place on the land.
That's how we getting it up here. I don't know.
I'm waiting on Chief to come in so we can go over the receipts. But I'm gonna do a little quick review of what I already told y'all when I told y'all the shit was over. I already told y'all that we have to go back to our oral traditions in order to overthrow the paper trap. First thing. Second thing they paper surrenders their jurisdiction back to the chiefs of the land in the Indigenous Rights Act. And since the Indigenous Rights Act is active, and since we had tribes placing the totem pole in the DC crash site to reclaim that 10 square miles called Washington, DC, all this shit can be looked up and verified. So one of the chiefs, this is what our job is. If one of the chiefs hear this and they say, okay, he's saying that us asserting our jurisdiction is the only way to reclaim the land, but we can't use that paper fictitious system because it's a paper trap, and he's saying that the documentation is here, here, and here, and I'm gonna go look this up. So one of the chiefs looked it up, and I'm gonna let him come in. We ain't had a chance to talk, but he told me he looked up the information in the message.
Yes, sir.
Peace, God.
Peace, guys.
Getting feedback from you over there. You on the headset?
No, let me, I ain't on that. Let me see. Hold on. I got it on the regular speaker. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was getting feedback. I think you had it up too loud.
All right, let me see. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Let me set that. Yes, sir. We finally locked in. How you doing, brother? What's up with you, God?
I'm doing peaceful, God. I'm doing peaceful. So, from my understanding, you heard me saying that they gave us our shit back, and I told the chiefs where to look, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then you, being one of the chiefs, gonna automatically do what the chief's supposed to do is check it out, right?
Yes, sir. Due diligence. Due diligence. Right. It's only right.
Okay, now, what did you find when you checked it out?
All right. So I would say that overall, what you've been saying and doing, man, it's been leading up to this. You know, it's like building from the ground up. So as I went back and started watching recently, probably within the last couple months, because nothing was feeding my soul. You know, we kind of get into these things and we don't stay in them, we grow from them. So when I heard you talking about, first off, we went through the whole, you put all this shit together stemming from the Sumerian, the war from heaven with AKiE and ASAR and how it came down here. I heard you tell somebody you could wipe your ass with the Bible. The Bible's toilet paper to you, but I don't think you comprehended what you meant from it. You feel what I'm saying? Like the fact that you went in there and dug it all out. Now that's, you feel me? That's shoot to the side. But to continue, man, as you were saying these things, I'm an investigative researcher myself. You know what I'm saying? As far as being self-taught. So I understand self-master. I understand that Hiram is raised. So as you speaking these things, you spoke on the continuity of government without speaking.
Check these.
And lo and behold, everything that I didn't, when you said that you got receipts, man, and they want to tap in with you and say you're wrong or they don't get the message, they don't get the frequency, because all the receipts is everything that you say. All you gotta do is do the due diligence and go look it up. All the receipts is right there. So I took the time. I had it already, man. I got some pictures from probably like a year ago that I was already posing with it like this. As we go through this, as I did the due diligence and look up, man, they already gave me the show. Also seeing that the act of war that was staged, they make it to us like it's just a play or something that's not actually happening. But the shaman and these people overtook the White House, that was a sign right there. The totem being moved over there, that was a sign. It's all an underlay for the overlay, bro. And the underlay they've been telling us the whole time. So now what I'm saying, as I'm listening to you, and as I'm doing my research on the side, hold on. We looking at these words in the dictionary. I heard a brother, this is a side note, man. I heard somebody, you know, in respect to everybody, we all searching for freedom at this point. Everybody ain't us. Everybody ain't, you know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't all kinfolk ain't kinfolk. But I heard a homie say that he's a true American citizen. So as I'm doing this search and freedom, we want freedom. We want autonomy. We don't want to be nobody's citizen. At the end of the day, and this is what the Indigenous Rights Act is for. This is what the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People was for. This is what they gave in for. It ain't like this is something they talk about. They already came in. You feel me? So now we got people in the Pacific Islanders and the Philippines and the different parts where Indigenous people are that's reaping the benefits. But we the only people that still talk about Black, African American, and something else, and we the Indigenous people to the Americas, like you said, and like Drew Ali said. Since time was when man was not. You feel what I'm saying? Or however it go. But at the end of the day, we understand that we've been over here. We ain't come over here on no fucking slave shit, bro. So if the Indigenous Act is being put into motion by these different countries and continents, South America putting it in motion, you got people in the Philippines putting them. We the only people over here that I don't know of nobody that's pushing this. I feel like this is the push. This is the push besides Emerald City coming back. In these declarations, when we go over these declarations for Indigenous people, aren't these the Indigenous people over here? You
we are organic to this land.
Huh?
Yes,
we are organic to this land.
Respect is earned, bro. And you earned it through your research, stay inside your time, and becoming a real OG. I go check on you. So he say indigenous to this land or organic to this land, just like a tree, just like a fruit, just like a animal, just like a plant. When the first off Americas is the old world, you understand that it was the new world to them. This is the true old world. Of the lands and the far side of the water. Go ahead.
House at Tahuti.
House at Tahuti, you feel me?
House at Tahuti.
That's the Pharaoh house.
That's
going through this journey, doing this research, big bro. Everybody that I did tap into from India to the Indians was their ancestors was the Maya. You feel me? Would end up being the Mayans that went over there, the Nakal. And the same with
we see genetic stopwires. When they say we from Africa, they know we're not from Africa because they don't classify us genetically as African. They classify us as Negrito.
Right.
Right. And they say that we have what they call Afro-Polynesian bloodlines. That span the Americas all the way down to the Polynesian Islands.
Yes, sir.
Now, we not saying there were no Africans that came over here. That's not what we're saying.
Exactly.
Because we was trading with Africans long before Columbus came. On the East Coast of the United States, and the islands were resorts. So all of us used to give the supplies from the mainland to the islands, because on the islands were our resort places. So we took care of the islanders with farm goods.
Yes, sir.
And they gave us a paradise on earth to visit in its pure state. So we was already doing that on the East Coast with Africa, right? We were trading daughters from over here to over there.
Yes, sir.
This is nothing new to us. That's why they call this the Great Melting Pot.
Yes, sir.
And you can't stay over here unless you get a drop of blood from the royal families of Tahuti. The one drop of blood doctrine.
Yes, sir.
Because if you don't got the blood, you don't hold the right. This is our traditions and our customs.
Straight up.
We was trading with China and Japan for thousands of years. When we first started trading with Japan, they only had a group of people known as the Ainu, AIENU, which is one of the tribes of Ainu.
Yes, sir.
Right? And we was trading with them and intermarrying with them in the Polynesian Islands, in Hawaiian Islands, all the way up to the Pacific Islands.
Yes, sir.
Right? So when we were set in Florida, every fucking tribe from the land said, we all in.
Yes, sir.
Now, we didn't know that we was gonna get backdoor seized and colonized, right? So now, when I go back over and review the record, I'm telling everybody what everything is, right? I'm telling you how to spot the infiltrators, right? Example, some guy got on the group call, they was having a group discussion about some of the things that I had been saying about Larry Hoover being the spokesperson for the chiefs on the land, etc. And the guy got on there and he was belligerent, saying he was a GD from Chicago. Fuck Ron Hayes, I tell that nigga to his motherfucking face, all this shit, right?
Yeah.
And he's anybody saying free Larry Hoover is an agent. Now, why in the fuck, how the fuck that makes sense?
Yeah, correct.
Now, the question is, what is he doing to try to get Larry Hoover out of prison? Personally.
Exactly.
You can personally see what the fuck I'm doing. Because when I know who got the blood and the right, I can start telling y'all how to make the moves on the land. But first, I got to get the attention of the people.
Yes, sir.
How you get the attention of the people? You show them where everything at. You drag the conspiracy out into the public domain. And let your people see the conspirators for who the fuck they was. And then you explain to them what they did and why they got beheaded.
Yes, sir.
You know, so now that people understand the effort that went into reclaiming our shit.
Yeah.
Right? So they surrendered. They gave it up.
They gave it up. Now I want to let me remember I just want to speak on the free Larry Hoover, man, because what we gotta understand, man, is we gotta raise to a frequency to understand and see the underlay for the overlay. They call it the underworld. And you know, you can call it an undershirt too. It's just a shirt that's under the shirt. So it's the world that's under the world. So when I see how you connect Jeff Ford to being the overall enforcer on the land and what they did to Larry Hoover, this young, he was a kid, bro. You feel me?
People forget that.
Bro, he was a kid. And they put him away for something for 200 years. Both of them. You know what I'm saying? And when I see this, I'm like, damn.
Okay, now, match that up with COINTELPRO.
Yeah, straight up. Straight up.
Match it up.
Yeah.
It was active in the hood. The COINTELPRO file said they had at least 400 in Chicago alone to neutralize. Right?
Yeah.
They murdered Fred Hampton outright.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Straight up.
No, straight up. They murdered King David, King of Kings.
Exactly. Yeah. I just found that one out that they got rid of King David too, bro.
King David.
Yeah. David Barksdale Jr. is on this motherfucking IG shit.
Disciple.
You can go in his live and ask him about his file. They're trying to make up all these shit. King Spell, he OD on heroin, all this shit. They murdered him.
Straight up.
I understand. Let's get further.
He was a fucking bull. He wasn't just gonna die like that.
Straight up.
They murdered him.
Yeah.
The same way Chief Littlehorn, y'all know him, is in the teal.
Yep. Man, when you dropped that gem, it threw me over the roof because it all resonates back in the spirit and the soul with me. So I'll be understanding what be truth when I hear it. And that, especially with wisdom, man, but go ahead and get into that. That was crazy to me. I never do that. But now when I look at it in hindsight, I get it.
We did undergo.
So they know
this Egypt.
We talk
Egypt West.
on the wind.
A lot of power entities got killed.
Right? One of the chiefs on the land can literally be in Washington State whistling. A bird hears it. The bird puts it on the bird hive mind. And that bird will whistle over here to tell me what the fuck going on over there. But we don't, we want to follow the system. We don't want to go back to our shit.
Right.
But soon as we go back to our shit more powerful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Immortal.
Our shit based in love. That shit based in contracts.
Right.
And blood right.
For real. And look, we gonna get into this Hey, man, I see y'all talk about it, but
That
I
would be
got
6 years.
It's over now, bro.
Yeah.
They just got
So
to
look,
get this nigga loose.
you said, bro,
But they ain't no
Yeah.
you talked about the blood being written in Crispus Atticus. I had already been hit to, the contract being written, the Constitution being written in Crispus Atticus blood. I have been hip to the Babylonian money magic and blood magic, but you put this shit together. You know what I'm saying? Dr. G call you the record keeper, and I fuck with that. You feel me? So we gonna call you that, but it just makes it so much more clear. You feel me? Of what was actually going on and what this shit really is and what it was.
And then also make it easier to see what happened.
Yeah, that's the main thing, for real. Because this is why we here today, for real.
That's right, brother.
And
Yeah, we had to unravel this shit.
no, for real.
Unpack this shit like suitcase, man.
Let's go.
Getting back to our shit, because when we lead into this Indigenous Act that we gonna go over, this ain't nothing but getting back to our tribal ways. The
That's
ways
all.
we've been subconsciously in a lot of ways, and ways that we've gotten away from. And then you talk about how the religious aspect comes into it, and it throws us all off track. But over time, man, our indigenous ways start to rise back up. So whenever you're ready, Vic, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so they got a scholar who studied the Mississippian tribe,
Yes,
the
sir.
Mound River.
Yes, sir.
And one thing he said is he learned that we taught through art, entertainment, and through the influence that we have on whatever the prevailing culture is.
Yes, sir.
Right now, what is the prevailing influence on our culture?
Oh, okay.
Gotta be talking about rap music.
Hip hop.
Yeah.
So they was the rap, but it's called bigger than that, pretty much.
The culture.
They wasn't really rappers, they was rappers. Like,
The rappers.
Somebody trying
they
to
were
call.
HAYES.
Now you good,
You can tell because you can tell when the people gravitate to.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Right.
So
It's
it's
all
all
part
of it.
my phone music.
You know, it's on hip hop culture.
So, we get it.
Real organized. Structure.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah,
You don't want them.
No, you good, OG. I'm about to read it.
They know my power there.
Right.
I mean,
But they
A
have.
lot of times they don't be knowing
But
how they are
right
themselves.
to you.
Right.
But they lock them away before they can build that.
Yep. They know, man.
Well,
That shit freezing up.
indigenous heritage.
There you
But
go.
we gonna get into that. Go ahead, OG. You was on what you call you just said?
Hey, look, so I was going back
There
to
you
my
go.
man that studied the Mississippians,
Right, there you go.
right? So when you look at it, when they send their scholars in to research us to determine how aware are we of our culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, we ain't never supposed to remember that we organic to this land.
Yes, sir.
We supposed to believe the narrative they gave us that we came on ships. Right? The only way that the narrative can be exposed is the one of the chiefs on the land gonna read the community.
Like a book.
Right? Like a book. Then you're gonna match it up with what they written shit say. That's so you can have a reference point for what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Right? So when they give our shit back, they write it down as the Indigenous Rights Act. We more than just indigenous, we organic.
Organically.
But we gonna take what they wrote.
Indigenous. That's the difference.
Right, so when we go to it, and you look in the document itself, it say we got a right to do what? Informing our government and restoring our oral traditions and culture. Did you see that in there?
So we got to say organically
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Organically indigenous.
Let's show it to them. Let me see what it
I'm
say.
about to pull it up
We got to put organically in front of it.
We gonna go ahead and flick through it, man. Let's go
Organically
ahead and flick through it.
Conflict.
So you know, it start off with the what we call a preamble, basically reaffirming concern. We gonna get into these articles. I got a couple that I just Chapter what page 7?
Into these articles.
Here we go. Believe in Article 1. Let's see. Indigenous people have the right to the full enjoyment as a collective or as individuals of all human rights and fundamental freedoms as recognized in the Charter of the United Nations and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in the International Human Rights Law. Let me find that one. Fuck it, let's just go. Article 2, indigenous peoples and individuals are free and equal to all other peoples and individuals and have the right to be free from any kind of discrimination in the exercise of their rights, in particular, that based on their indigenous origin or identity. Hey, you don't mind if I just go through these real quick, big bro?
We good. Just
All right, Article 4. Indigenous people in exercising their right to self-determination.
You forgot three.
Oh, 3, let's go. Indigenous peoples have the right to self. Now, real quick, this is very important.
That's the one, right? That's the home run right there.
Okay, let's do it. Let me go. I'm gonna say it and you do your thing. In Article 3, indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development.
That's it.
That word self-determination.
This why they got.
Right.
This why they got.
That means no political system can override
they had its own government
to establish our jurisdiction on the land.
They had its own government by law.
And we can apply it using any political status we so freely choose. Right? In order to establish our economics. So now, what is our economics? Where in the fuck is Big Mama money? So I went and found Big Mama. Look, I'm serious. I went and found Big Mama money. Trump when he got the receipt.
Trump got the receipt.
Yeah, it's called. He went to the Philippines and got the gold certificate for the wealth that we had held in the Bayes.
Yes, sir.
The next thing is social and cultural development.
Yeah.
Those are together. They intertwine.
Yeah.
Because the society is going to influence the culture, and the culture is going to express whatever going on in the society.
Yes, sir.
So this is our application of hip hop to the overall society.
Right.
Right. And then what do Article 4 say?
Article 4. Indigenous people, in exercising their right to self-determination, have the right to autonomy or self-government in matters relating to their internal and local affairs, as well as ways and means for financing their autonomous functions. Come on, young.
It's right there.
It's right there.
The word autonomy. That means you can operate without any assistance.
Yes, sir.
Right. In your 4 or 5-5 realized capacity. What Noble Ali say? He said that I'm gonna leave these people in power till y'all learn how to run a government.
Straight up.
What do it say right there? Autonomy or self
government. Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. We know how to run a government. Then get the fuck out of here.
Run his own government. You're indigenous to the land, you can run your own government. The police is ran by the city, the people. The people pay the police department. Check it out. That's why they're better in white neighborhoods, because they pay them better than y'all do.
Indigenous peoples and individuals have the right not to be subjected to forced assimilation or destruction of their culture. This is just
what is assimilation? They can't force us to participate in the United States corporate government.
Period.
All of their written paperwork is the force. It's the adhesion contract. Because we don't know we contracting with them motherfuckers.
Yes, sir.
You don't got contract with nobody.
Keep going.
Let's go. Let's see. All right, let's tap in on this one. Article 5. Indigenous people have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinct political, legal, economic, social, and cultural institutions while retaining their right to participate fully, if they so choose, in the political, economic, social and cultural life of the state, which we ain't fucking with them anyway. All right. All right, so this, I marked this one because, you know, it say every indigenous individual has the right to a nationality. But as I see it, a nation is nothing but a corporation, bro. And
That's
I got
right.
that.
That's what they are.
And
That's
I
right.
went to go
They are.
confirm
That's
that. You feel me? Like,
A nation
you
is
know
But
a
what?
look, you see
corporation.
that there's no extrapolation to that statement.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
But it's a reason for that.
US right now.
Okay.
Because you still have a right to sell yourself into servitude.
Right?
Right. There you go. Dang.
That's the trick now.
All right,
It wasn't no
let's tap in with
slavery,
that.
it was indentured
All right,
servitude,
indigenous
man.
individuals have the
We
right
sent
to
all the
life,
trash
physical,
from
mental
England
integrity,
over here,
liberty and security of
and
person.
they were enslaved
Indigenous
at
people have the
first. White
collective right to
people
live in freedom
that you
peace,
would call
and
white
security
people.
as distinct peoples and shall not be subjected to any act of genocide or any other act of violence, including forcibly removing children of the group to another group.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to get to the part where they saying we got the right to all
Our land and shit.
our native land.
All right, let's see how this be a right to manifest practice. All right, let's I think this is right here. Let me flip this real quick. Just 11, because we getting there. Let's see. Any indigenous community in accordance with traditions shall not be forcibly removed from their lands. No, we just read that one. All right, let's start right here. Article 11. Indigenous people have the right to practice and revitalize their cultural traditions and customs. This includes the right to maintain, protect, and develop the past, present, and future manifestations of their cultures, such as archaeological and historical sites, artifacts, design, ceremonies, technologies, and visual and performing arts and literature.
Now, what that means is all our shit that they got in the museums,
Yes, sir.
we seize that back with that article right there.
Come on.
Right? All of our historical records that they got in their universities, we seized it back with that right there.
Yes, sir.
All of the books and the scrolls they've been keeping secret from us, that article right there give us control of that back.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to get to the tribal lands part.
All right, bet. Let me squeeze through here. Let me see. State still under redress. All right, this talk about redress. Let me see. Teach their spiritual religions and traditions.
Damn. He was digging all through that thing.
Boy.
Shit.
All that information.
Indigenous people have the right to establish and control their educational system. Have the right to redress by means of. All right, let me go.
Oh, that shit, bro. I like that shit.
I read this one. Indigenous peoples have the right to redress by means that can include restitution, or when this is not possible, just fair and equitable compensation for the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned or otherwise occupied or used, or which have been confiscated, taken, occupied, used, or damaged without their free, prior, and informed consent.
That's why they violated all of the treaties, because that right there give us control back of all of the land and to make and give us a compensation. That's called reparations right there. That's why Biden said
Redress means set right.
That's why Biden said that we can't, the blacks can't get reparations unless the Native Americans get it too. That's it right there. It's up. Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna tell you in another one that we got the right to take control of all tribal land.
I'm about to find it right now. Indigenous people have the right to determine and develop priorities, right to their traditional medicines to maintain their health, plants, medicinal, equal rights.
That's why that one right there is why they take making marijuana legal, because that's our shit.
Straight the fuck up.
We call it the herb.
We're right. Yes, sir. All right, here. I got you. Indigenous, let's start at 25. Indigenous people have the right to maintain, strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas, and other resources, and to uphold their responsibilities to future generations in this regard.
That right there gives us back control of all of the land.
Here we go, too. Indigenous people have the right to the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned, occupied, or otherwise used or acquired.
That goes for all of the minerals resources that they've been mining over here, that they weren't allowed to trade. They was only allowed to borrow against it.
Which they have traditionally owned, occupied, therefore used or acquired.
Now, we got a right to seize all of those resources.
We have rights to, but we have to.
Because they just been here. Texas got just as much or more oil than the Middle East. Just Texas. We ain't talking about Arizona and Mexico.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that right there is giving us the wealth, the mineral resource wealth in compensation in like kind. In other words, they got to give it all back.
Exactly.
This is them giving it all back.
Come on.
It's all qualified and quantified right here.
Straight up. Let me read them. Indigenous people have the right to own, use, develop, and control their lands, territories, and resources that they possess by reason of traditional ownership or other traditional occupational use, as well as those who they have.
So they can read these things and shit.
Now
it's other one, and then there's
Give me back the link.
All based on self-determination and self-identification.
Yeah. That means knowing you from the land, and the only way they're going to know is when we exercise our own tradition of informing in the public domain across the land who the chiefs are, what their jobs are, and to verify how the chiefs come through like you're doing now, to verify they gave the shit back. Niggas stop fighting about who, stop fighting, the fight is over.
Yeah.
If you type in if you type in your DNA and send that shit off, you'll see all
I
got a little longer. We go a couple more.
Again, the whole thing is we can declare anything anyway.
So the thing
So if you say
that I see that the United States do, so we got.
As long as you like the word is bond.
And you look at you anyway, you look like the same.
This one right here is
Yeah,
Straight.
looking at you, like I can see how they say that. You know what I mean? Like,
You can, the thought is you can
and then we got the American Declaration.
You just don't know
of Rights of
anything.
Indigenous.
right. You think it's too good to be true, like
And that right here is directly us.
American Declaration of Rights.
Right, right.
Everybody need that book.
Exactly.
Right.
So I'm gonna go through a
$200 book.
Got a little bit more time, and I appreciate you getting me on here and connecting, man.
They don't want you to have
It's
it.
not doing what you do, bro. So
Oh, I appreciate you cross-referencing to make sure I know what the fuck I'm talking about before I tell my people this shit I'm telling them.
hey, look, witness right here. Witness. He is not gonna tell you some shit that he ain't went research or been through himself. Why do I know that? I'm not on here pumping. We ain't got time to be gassing motherfuckers up. The truth is the truth, bro. Period. And when he dropped the science and the receipts, I go and verify it. Everything that I pulled up to verify on Ride.
We need to research this,
You feel
baby.
me? And that's coming from.
We don't need prejudice people.
Like you say, if the
We
nigga
need
got
prejudice people.
appetite to
You don't know what the word
ask
means, you have to
Yeah,
look at it.
investigative research.
Investigative research.
So I ain't coming
Don't
here
stop
with
just
things,
looking at a
you know,
video
they gonna
and
take
taking
themselves out. They gonna
taking
make
it
themselves
as face value.
out.
Check them people
Let's go
out.
through this one real quick. And this one actually got a preamble. It includes all the American states, including United States and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Here is this one.
United Nations.
Main things, all right? Article 1, Indigenous People Scope of Application. The American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People applies to the Indigenous people of the Americas. 2, self-identification as Indigenous people will be a fundamental criterion for determining to whom this declaration applies. States shall respect the right to such self-identification as Indigenous, whether individually or collectively, in keeping with the practices and institutions of each Indigenous people. So tap in on that. That's self-identification. It's a fundamental criteria.
Tap in on that.
Right. And they don't cross-reference what you're saying. They know the difference in $5 Indians and us.
Right.
Straight up.
Right.
It's on us to assert who we are.
That's
We're
right.
organic to the motherfucking land.
Organic
Have
to
the
the land.
first right to the earth rights.
You heard?
Right?
Yes, sir.
I done went and got all of the earth right keys and been giving them back to the sisters. Ain't none of the other chiefs doing it.
Straight up. Straight up.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? Because that's my job. That ain't none of the other chiefs' job.
Right.
Can't be mad at them for doing the part that they're supposed to do.
That's
As
right.
long as they're doing their thing.
Yes, sir.
So we just gotta recognize them when they come in the midst of us with the bullshit, because that's how you know who they are. They throw full-fledged chances when you're trying to make a righteous move.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? They want to fight, they want to kill a motherfucker and all kind of shit, and you ain't saying nothing wrong. All you telling the motherfucker, this is how we get our shit.
Period. And this
right?
Go ahead, OG. No, go ahead.
So from here, the only thing we have to do is prove that America failed. I already proved that we sunk Pelosi's motherfucking battleship.
Out cold.
I told you who did, by what jurisdiction, and by what method of operation we used in order for him to do it.
Yes, sir.
Because we had to establish the law of the land in over the admiralty jurisdiction of a de facto corporation. Right? So I showed that. Now, the next thing we had to do is look at continuity of government. Because when you understand continuity of government, you will understand why you ain't seeing a whole lot of activity going on around your borders, because we in a transitional phase of government.
Man, that shit, yeah, go ahead, bro. That shit, that's the truth. That shit true.
So, they in the process of giving the chiefs back the shit. We just trying to wake up the people at the grassroots, those old Mississippi, them country boys. We trying to wake up Big Mama daughters. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? The Oye, the Yimya, the Oshun. Hey, this a rap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a public declaration that you said, man. Especially when you spoke about, we used to go into the town hall and read off who was born and who did what, man. That's real shit, bro. It all connects to soul.
That's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
And then some of us vaguely remember it. When you mention it, they be like, yeah, I kind of like to remember that shit.
Right. Like it's down there a blurry movie playing and the nigga said, let me show you this real quick, because I like to let me verify some of the shit you talk about in person, man, right here on the phone, so we can understand who with us and who against us for real. So bro told us to always keep us the Black Laws Dictionary.
Yeah, that's always.
So when you look at de facto, he speaks about de facto and de jure. De facto is existing and having effect, even though not normally or legally recognized, illegitimate but in effect. De facto government is illegitimate but in effect, and that's who the fuck this 10 by 10 corporation is that said that our landmass crashed their motherfucking shit. You feel me? Yep. Come on, bro. Now, last one is de jure, the OG, and then you good to go. Now, I appreciate this, man, because all we got to do, I'm going to leave one. Let me say this real quick. De jure. Existing by right or according to law. Birthright to the earth right. First right. Feel me? That's what we've been saying this whole time, putting this shit together, man. You feel me? I just want to say this, man. We got to reclaim our shit. We got to tribe up. We got to get the imposters out. Everybody do their job. If you got to rebound, if you got to shoot, if you got to set a pick. You feel me? But the main thing is the self-identification of this shit, man. You feel me? And the weed out the imposters. That's it.
Look, I died out of bounds to save the ball to keep the play alive.
You know what I'm saying?
What's my motherfucking head?
Yes, sir. I'm with the shit, dog. For real.
Right. So now our oral tradition is that we demand that the chiefs come forth and get a report. They call it a state. They call it the State of the Union address. Yeah. And we used to call it the report of the land. It's a report that the chiefs got to give. Yeah. Larry is the spokesperson for the chiefs on the land. Yeah. So when we say free Larry Hoover, because he got to come and say why the fuck Asada Shakur can't come home. Right. He got to. That's part of the report. Yeah. Right. Who got all of our leaders locked up in the prison? Who is these motherfuckers? He's gonna say they was 32-degree Scottish Rite Freemasons from Europe that came over to usurp.
Jacob.
Right?
Yeah.
Can have been nigga in them. Can have been nigga in them
Jews.
children. Come on now.
They blended in with us and made deals with the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
They created
The whole crown was black the whole
fictitious
time. Queen Charlotte.
front of pale faces.
North Carolina,
to block the
Charlotte.
institution.
Rothschild,
Blood shield.
They ain't be tying that shit together, cuz.
So while they hiding in our communities, pretending to be activists, pretending to be civil rights leaders, right? All the time, they're trying to make us believe that we came on ships and we don't have no birthright to the land, so they can say, well, it's abandoned like they did in the New Orleans Purchase.
Dane Calloway got y'all
So
though.
if you don't know what they did in the New Orleans Purchase, you don't know what they're trying to do now.
Right. Yeah.
They do the same shit, repeat over and over, and if you can't see it, you won't never catch your way out.
Yes, sir.
That's how you flip out the loop. So I appreciate you going back and doing your due diligence because it shows the people that you don't gotta believe me. If you go check it out, you gonna know it for yourself then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Each one get the right.
Tastes so good. When you said you brought it, I think that perfect.
Like you say, raise the matriarch. I always think the pharaohs were women, but kings were wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, and speaking on one last thing, man, free Larry Hoover, because I understand that with the political say free Larry Hoover, saying free order. So it's not just gang leader, none of that shit. All that shit is cat. We understand that Chris was what a protective thing at first. So going still proclaim to that, man, and how it really makes sense. The three kings and who Larry Hoover is. They know who he is. That's why they got him. That's motherfucker like that.
Yeah. Man, these people did way personally worse than Larry Hoover that's walking the street right now that got slapped on the wrist. They wasn't a threat to the system.
Exactly. Can I say this on that line? As far as being a threat to the system? The only man that neutralized an entire inner city and was able to blockade a whole vote, nigga, so you either gonna represent us or you not. It's gonna be in Chicago, it was gonna be 600,000 black votes for whoever he said it was gonna be for, bro. You feel me? That's power.
21st century vote.
That's power.
Yeah, and it wasn't just GDs, it was Vice Lord.
Yes, sir.
It was Stone.
Yeah.
Four Corner Hustlers.
And they try to make it like they was beefing though, you feel me?
They always do that.
Yeah, go and tell pro shit.
We can take the 91 riots in Los Angeles at the Rodney King verdict to show you what they was doing because they got caught.
Yeah.
Dressing up like Crips shooting up the Bloods.
Straight the fuck up. Straight up. Yeah.
One case they had they rolled through the Bloods and the Crips is having, one of them West Coast backyard parties.
Yes, sir.
And the niggas that's rolling through screaming the set out of the niggas that's back there with the Crips.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
They told the Crips, they said, don't even worry about it. They lit the Bloods who said they was calling out, lit that motherfucker up, and they coming to find out they were police.
Yep. Yeah.
So I be getting the reports on the land, what's going on. I be paying attention to shit that go up over the regular people here. That's like
they fucking us people
in
out
the
people.
middle, catch that key when it come over
I put don't know where your dad going out driving.
Right, because I got to be able to talk to all the people across the land, across all of the tribes.
I'm telling where you at.
We all had a common enemy, a common threat. We use different means in order to overcome the threat. I just so happen to be able to point out the different means that we use. This is why Prince Hall had to go into the York Right and put the secrets in the public domain.
Yes, sir.
This is why Noble Drew Ali had to go into the more Zionist Temple of Islam and put the secrets in the public domain. They knew who They knew who we were. They never wanted us to be aware of who we were.
Yes, sir.
Right? So it's all based on morals and dogma by Albert Pike.
Hey, real quick, because that book, it's everything in there, and you reference that book, and I notice a lot of people that try to dispel what you say, they never really tap into morals and dogma. That's telling the whole story.
Yeah. So when you put the morals and dogma alongside the protocols of Zion, then you just go through a series of Q&A. Is this being done to us today?
Yeah.
Don't fuck your brain.
Straight up. Straight up.
Everything they said in those books they've been doing.
Relevance.
Because whatever in the free will universe, whatever they do to you, they gotta give you a right to discover it.
Yes, sir.
Where you finding it?
Right? And some of us is less comfortable with the conditions we under than others. So we're gonna look twice as hard for the exit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm the most uncomfortable motherfucker out of all of us.
Come on. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
You know what I'm
sir.
saying?
Yeah.
So like social media, I hate that shit with passion. But you know what? I can reach my people.
No, but that shit gives me a push and inspiration because I fuck with shit like that. Yeah. Cameras, social media. Come on, man. I don't be into this shit, bro. But I know that I see that I can read the times. You feel me? And it's about that time because you know the shit oversaturated, but I was able to find the midst of saturation. You know what I'm saying? They can have a continuity of the growth and the souls and the rap. Real. So we rocking with you, man. I'm from. All right,
yeah,
so
cooking first and definitely after they're ready. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to the whole land.
Or
My
you cooking the
ancestors
rest of
come
them.
from Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia.
Probably still cook that.
And I was fourth generation Detroit. My great grandmother moved to. Come on, man. She used to always tell us that we had Cherokee history. That her dad was Cherokee, and they moved up to Detroit or Illinois first in the 20s. Or the 30s. And then she moved to Detroit, and that's how we got to Detroit. So I was fourth generation born and raised in Detroit. But we all got it from the South. We all been told to do that in our time. Our grandmothers ain't no liars. You been? Straight up. So yeah, man, it's love, man. Do your thing, man. I ain't trying to hold too much longer. I appreciate this shit, man. I look forward to getting on the field more. You feel me? Keep dropping that shit, cause the real chiefs around the land, OG chief, we get this motherfucker and we crack it.
For sure. All you gotta do is let them know. This right here this video is very important. So anybody watching it that can post it on YouTube, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Gorilla knocking on these niggas. We gorilla knocking on your whole ass. All right, I got my daughter, man. Much love, peace to you, God. I appreciate you, Big Chief. I'm all at
For sure. Peace out.
Yep. That shit was awesome.
Yeah.
So at the end of this, I think I'm gonna try to have Dr. G put a panel together with me, Dane Calloway, the young elder, and just to have show the people again, go over what we just went over, where all of the information is at for y'all to find out that we free. I don't know. If it'll happen, but it just sounds like a good idea to me. But anybody that personally know young elder needs to personally have his contact when you can get in direct contact with me. And if you can get in direct contact with Dane Calloway, inbox me.
All
not
indirect, need to know about
not an email. If you know well enough where you can pick the phone up and call them and they know it's you and they answer, that's what I'm talking about, because we need a third party in order to make these connections, because they're not letting us make them direct.
Everybody.
So they froze all my emails.
I'm just here to make
another one. With that, review this video. I'm telling y'all, this shit is over. They gave us everything back.
And all we gotta do is let the people on the land know this shit is a wrap. That's it. It's over. So I hope y'all learned something today. I hope y'all feel uplifted at being informed of what's taking place on the land in real time.
They Callaway telling y'all that they can't find the ships. They got records of ships. They got records of ships from the ancient times.
Played out, and this is
so they definitely got records of ships from
the continuity of government and the transfer of power
came over here
from the fictitious corporation to the chiefs of the land. We have to talk to all that Hoover in order to restore the matriarchy, because they have to make sure that the land is secure in order for us to bring the matriarchy
always talk about the West.
This is what has to be done. So that's why we saying free Larry Hoover. This shit it had to happen. It's nothing personal. It's
Egypt ain't
business.
So Jerusalem ain't where you think
it's y'all.
We got the receipts.
I'll be back home soon. I don't know exactly when, but be on the lookout.
Jerusalem was in the Americas. Jerusalem.
Okay. That's a good bill, man.
Yes, indeed, brother. Oh, yes, indeed.
I definitely respected his brother's perception. You know, imagine we both with Dr. Joe and great insight on information we definitely be informed on what's going on in that present moment. I did his rights, you know what I'm saying? What we are. It's so powerful to accept it. And once you accept it, you can get so many bonuses behind it. They verbally accept it, you know what I'm saying, before even documentation's coming into play, you know, so yeah, but that was wild.
Right.
Made the video.
Right.
Made the video, man.
Man, so yeah, and that's big too. And that's, I want y'all to look at the back of this shirt right here too. The front of it says Kingdom, and y'all see the
that's powerful.
The tribal stuff right here too. But the back of it is the operative, because it's not about one man or Larry or whatever, but it's about this. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mission statement.
The back gotta be straight. You can't even see. Yeah,
like this.
To the left.
To my left.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, you can see it, man. You know.
Right there.
Where's it there? Who at the bottom?
Yeah, it's right here at the bottom of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, put your shirt down. Yeah, man, that's Larry. That's a Larry Hoover shirt, man. You know the aspects of what was pretty much talking about him.
Yeah, and the organization and everything. You know what I mean, and why you organize.
Right.
You know what I mean, and the focal point of it. But I mean,
organizing very helpful.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's a freedom of you're freeing just Larry Hoover. It's not just free Larry Hoover. It's free of all political, you know what I mean, prisoners. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, like a Shauna Shakur, you know what I mean, which they swear died or whatever, you know what I mean? But you got to understand the line of, you know what I mean, of the matriarch here and her position in that.
Yep.
And you'll see that her name personifies the name of the line right there too. Right. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's how you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
real simple. It's real simple. We're not familiar.
They told these people perception of these people that had put their own governments together and tore them down. The Black Panthers, you see it over and over. They sent people like us that look like us in there to infiltrate us and stuff like that. People like us hid themselves in the crown, you know what I mean, just to fuck us up, you know what I'm saying? But it's been an attack on the matriarch, its image in this whole world, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's been released, you know what I mean? Y'all get the book by Elijah Muhammad, you know what I mean, that talks about Yaqub, you know what I mean? It's been released.
Very powerful, very, very cool. You have to get that book if you can, or go on Amazon, see if you can find a copy. That's an amazing book.
That's it.
I haven't even finished completing it, but the aspect of what I have read been so profound. I know it's one of the books we just got to tap into because some information that we're not familiar with is there.
Yes. It's the grafting. It's a story of, you can find videos on, it's a nice cartoon on.
Okay, she sent that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's a nice cartoon online that explains the whole Yaqub mad scientist story, you know what I mean? But it's a little bit more serious in the book if you want to get into that in a bit more detail. But I think that's beautiful for everybody too, because you get to understanding some things that went on there too. You know what I mean? Another good book is Anana Returns, and that's another one that's very expensive too. So Anana Returns, let's grab that book. And it's gonna kind of explain some of what we're talking about as far as what they alluded to in the beginning, where they would explain some of those Anunnaki stories and wars, but it was actually a lady that channeled Anana herself, and her books became more expensive than Zachariah Stitchen's books. I wonder why.
Right.
Everybody else that built their books off of Zachariah Stitchen books are not more expensive than his. But one lady that switched one thing up that he was pissed off about, you know what I mean, wrote her books and it's more expensive than all of theirs. I think that's a smoking gun.
What was it? Not to cut you off, but what was the name of the book that we just seen in that video again?
The UN Indigenous Rights
Declaration.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a powerful book, bro.
Right.
Very powerful book.
Yeah. So and look, we'll flicker through it just because that's the nature of how things are getting done out here. Do it next week, hopefully, if I get it in. So
yeah,
we'll go over it a little bit and see what's going on. But the word is the word, and glad to be out here. And you know what? While we got you here for a second, maybe because we just had some dynamite mushrooms, so another non-meat, non-dairy alternative for you out here too. Let me grab them.
You got some samples for him, bro?
Yeah, I got an example.
Oh man, I ain't gonna lie, man. The one mushroom he showed me today, man, it's called morel, man. I never had this mushroom before, and I've been digging a different kind of mushrooms a long way. When I tell you it's one of the most flavorful mushrooms I've ever had, I'm not joking. Like, okay, how many mushrooms you had? You haven't had this one yet. You gotta try this one. This is definitely put you in the space of steak or beef. You can make it with anything that's the case of beef, but it's not beef, but it tastes like it, man. So,
right.
And then you got pictures of it. I mean, that was the morel, right? Morel mushroom.
Morel, yeah.
This is the morel mushroom we about to show y'all, man. That's the way it looks.
Look at that.
It's raw right now.
It looked like a little piece of meat right there with a little fat on it. That's raw right there. It's not cooked.
Ready to eat. Yeah, you probably could eat it raw, but it probably won't taste the difference.
Yeah.
I would cook it first.
Right. Yeah, definitely cook it first.
Saute this light oil,
look at that,
butter.
man. Look at that. That's wicked.
And your favorite beef seasoning. Not a lot of seasoning though. Simply just cut it in half, season it, man, and then put it on the side, let it cool off. That might be bang.
Yeah, man. So
I told him, I said, well, I never heard that. He said, man, it's expensive, man. That's why you're going to find it farmers market, right?
Yeah, man. They like very expensive. This is the fourth most expensive mushroom in the world. It's packed with so many nutrients, with potassium and a protein. But the big winner for me is that it's D3. It's got like 2/3 of your daily amount of D3 in it. You know what I'm saying?
Vitamin D3, yeah.
Yeah, and man, a mushroom picking that thing out like that, man. Highly talented, and people don't talk about that too because it's not in season. You can't just grow these like you can grow the oyster mushroom.
Yeah, it's a whole other kind of dynamic, how they grow,
right.
Where they from.
So you only gonna catch them around a certain season or something like that too. So
you can't get them all year round. Only little Obama
right. But here's the recipe, right? So you get you some vegan butter from KAYE, and you put and you go ahead and soak them in some water for like 10 minutes, and then pat them out on some paper towels, split them in half, fry them face down, and then flip them joints over on some like in the vegan butter, and then season them like how you want it. Don't season it too much, but
like season like a beef with beef or
I like that. I just like they used to told me salt and pepper. You know what I mean? So I just use salt and pepper, and it just sounds it's just amazing. I never tried to overpower it, but you can play around with it because it's got like it tastes like real meat.
Like
real
steak,
beef
like
steak,
steak,
man.
man. It's crazy.
It's like
man.
steak, man.
I couldn't believe how much it tastes like steak. It was like, yo, this really.
If you close your eyes, you wouldn't know you was there.
Yeah, that's a fact. Nobody would never believe it. You a lot of money to eat this stuff. Somebody say, "What's this?" You say, "Steak." Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not.
Sir, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, seriously, man.
You gonna really think it's steak? We ain't bullshitting, man.
Amazing.
This ain't no real talk, man.
Mushroom, MOREL.
I had real flesh eaters telling me this is real, man.
MOREL.
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 Had another flesh eater today.
Morel mushroom.
Morel
Get
mushroom.
them today. You can't find
Look it up.
You gotta probably go to your local farmer's market. That's where you gotta find them.
Yeah, they ain't gonna be at your local farmer's market.
What about the Asian market? You think anybody be in there?
I ain't gonna be at your
Asian
market.
They in the national
You're gonna
market.
have to search a mushroom stand somewhere, bro. But like, you're gonna have to put in for this. You're gonna probably have to get them shipped to you, bro.
Definitely know something good when you gotta search for it.
You're gonna have to get them shipped to you, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
On the real, man, but
that's tight.
I mean, but I think as for yeah, they were good too. We had some. We had some.
You ate the other one? You had some more left? Bring back, show them the first. That one you made, the fried one.
What?
The chicken.
What the I can show some. Yeah.
The big one. I think it's one piece left.
What? Yeah. The
What kind of mushroom was that now?
Oyster mushroom. The yellow one.
Okay, you had yellow oyster mushroom. Okay. So we had morel mushroom. Okay, so my brother he made morel mushrooms, like steak, and then he took the yellow oyster mushrooms and made like fried chicken, and like a like for chicken fried batter, man. Real good.
I'm showing y'all strictly how I be living for the world, y'all. So this is oyster mushroom. I really love the yellow ones opposed to the white ones or the blue ones or whatever, you know what I mean? But I like these the most. I got these in Florida one time. I was staying there and I was like, I love that shit. Right? But yeah, man, fried, man, we had little vegan little taste test. I was just feast today, man. You know, man.
So what you do? You take it, do a wet batter and a dry batter? Or how you fry it?
Well, no, here lately it's just been wet batter. So
you don't do it dry, so wet batter and
do a wet batter and just fry straight in there. Okay. And try to deep fry it as much as possible. You know,
get a nice crispy out layer.
Nice crispy, yeah.
Yeah, that's good shit, bro.
Yeah.
Everything tastes great.
Yeah.
They definitely been on. Like I said, I ain't gonna lie. You was talking about Hugh's Kitchen, and we talking about how you definitely knocking on that door.
It was right.
Knocking on that door.
Joe, like a couple of more shakes or something. It would have been right there.
It ain't like I'm way down the street. I'm knocking on your door.
Right. It's like I don't got to drive right there right now, so like I said, and I'm gonna get there.
But next time you make them, try to do it in a sandwich form. Or see how you can put it like I always have mushroom po' boy.
I do that though.
You ever make one?
Oh, I be having nice little buns and shit. I get like them the little vegan brisket buns and stuff.
You ever use like a sourdough several?
I have used like those rolls too. I've used all type of rolls with that shit.
It's hard to find a sourdough several. Sourdough looks like a roll of bread. But that'll be a good way to do. That's better bread for you.
I don't know if I have a sourdough several, but
sourdough is better for the digestion. You know, I probably fuck with that more than anything. But
okay. I'm glad you said that too, because I like them sourdough avocados or some
I just had that.
Oh yeah.
That's why I got apple juice from.
I love those things, boy.
I had to get it. I ain't gonna lie. First time I got it, right, I was mad because when I seen she made it, the bread was still like, man, that's not toast. Like, you put it back there. She put it back there. It was toast. It's like,
yeah,
that's toast. I don't want the bread all soft. That's not toast.
Facts though.
Anyway, I had a vent real quick about my toast, man. I love avocado toast now with roasted tomatoes.
Right, bro.
Shit in the world out here.
That's it is, yo. They saving us, man.
Anything you go, anything go with is bonus. Hash browns or some chips or just by itself.
Yeah.
Smoothie, apple juice, orange juice, whatever. But that toast.
Good little orange juice, little vitamin C, little spurt.
Avocado is very rich.
You know what I had today too? I had some seeded grape juice. Seeded grape juice.
What you mean,
like they pressed it, cold press?
Oh,
from down the market, right?
Oh, okay.
So I had some Welch's grape juice in the refrigerator, right?
Nice.
So So look, right, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I be feeling like that. My system's so clean. My third eye is so open and shit like this. So this is how it is and shit, right? When I have stuff that has high alkaline, it makes my third eye tingle and shit, right? It really does. I don't know if anybody else feels like that when they drink some water that's deuterium free or high in alkaline or something like that. Yeah, it's a certain vibe that hits me and shit, right? So I hit the motherfucking seeded grape juice because I was surprised the ladies had it and they had the symbol of the cell on it, right? And talking about cell food. I said, what y'all think y'all know, whatever, right? So I finally get home and sip the juice, right? And I said, oh, that shit hit my third eye, boom. Then it hit the rest of the joint, the memories and shit. And I'm like, okay, this definitely alkaline and shit, right? Like, is anybody else like that too? Did somebody motherfucking leave a message or something and shit? Yeah, I got a ton of comments. Oh, that's no problem. I got a ton of comments.
So all the viewers, if you try to comment, bear with us. We're gonna be able to communicate with you. That's how we interact with our fellow folks. We have interaction with them through comments. So
I was on some shit one time. I didn't care what nobody thought about what I was saying. I was just on a mission or whatever.
Now we have people now.
Yes, sir.
We got people ask questions. They want to know. They do want to know.
This is true.
All the time they ask me, bro. So that's all. All
fact,
the haters going they don't even exist. We don't hear them. Right.
Yeah, that was once upon a time. I was on some other mission type shit. You know what I'm saying? That I done readjusted and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I got different positions and stuff out here now. You know,
we all fine tuning, bro.
You know, you heard. So
you're doing amazing job, though. All I'm saying that we keep up the great work,
yeah, brother. You feel
proud of
you. Yeah, you know what I mean. But and that's it. That's the operation there. So a little piece on that level. Yeah. So is that everything? Did we cover everything for the day, Todd?
We pretty much just going into topics of I want to tap onto something real quick before we sign out real quick. We ain't gotta go too deep because we have been on for a minute, but I want to tap into the aspects of communication. In any facet, man, woman, man, or man and man, woman and woman, we have to do a better job at communicating to the point of understanding rather than communicating to the aspect of just getting something out. Because if you say something to somebody, they don't fully hear what you're saying, understand you, there's no communication there. So a lot of times we gotta make sure we communicate with something to somebody, they understand where we're coming from. They don't, we build on that. You know what I mean? It's very important. A lot of times people are so dismissive with things because they're busy with the case may be, but then things become a blade line. Everybody's assuming everything else. All that thing always go wrong, you assume. Always go wrong. So we gotta stop assumptions right now. We gotta do more of like investigative research at this point to find out what you're being told is really accurate or is somebody just regurgitating some bull crap to hear from somebody else.
Right.
A lot of that going on. Yeah, man, I want to really think about the aspect of what it means. Like, I want everybody to let it sizzle and simmer on at one time. What does it mean to be a good communicator? What does it take? If you can't really give me the aspect of it, maybe you're not one, and you have to do a better job. Because I know I have to do better in my aspect of communicating and being able to not necessarily communicate that with people, but to get my point across where I'm understood. You know, I don't want to say things and just go over your head. That's not a good communication. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes if you can't communicate it to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it, right? And that's safe to say.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro, I just feel that we gotta.
So let me ask.
And hold up, man and woman, we most definitely gotta do a better job of communicating because a lot of times the assumptions come into play where a person assumes you're gonna do something because you were supposed to do it, and the person might not have knew. So stop assuming that somebody gonna do something because they should have knew to do it. Maybe they didn't know to know. You gotta realize that. So everybody's been raised so many different ways that you can't expect somebody to know the greatness that you may know. You know? What you gonna say, bro?
No, man, no. No, yeah, I mean, I lost my train of thought. That was real shit right there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I had to, it was a seminar on me to think because I know, excuse me, a lot of times the communication with situations be so, the blurred lines be so much that the whole foundation, everything only had no can't even really set still.
That's fast though, man.
And then kind of like, you know what I mean, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is really like solidified, shall we say. And I think that's dangerous because in the space we in now, we have to be more grounded for everything. there'd be more security, you know what I'm saying, right now. So without the right communication with things, so many aspects can be forgotten or left out or forgotten, and will make the whole situation just fumble apart.
Right.
You know, we can't afford that at this particular time. So as a man to a woman, a woman to a man, from bro to bro, from sis to sis, we gotta tighten up our communication. Stop assuming so much, or just asking stupid questions if that's a thing. And I think we do a lot better as a people. We deal with collective right now. We doing each other. We gotta get better for us. Me and you and me. You know what I'm saying? We can't worry about the aspect of everybody else right now. It's about us. You know what I'm saying? It's about us. So we gotta take us up, communicate. Our communities gotta be able to intertwine with other communities to be already together, and their community together. We can make a build. We can't do that right now when our communities in the shambles. Right. You know, and that takes one block at a time. Man. That's why we here now. We build it. We develop brotherhood, fellowship, and bringing forth the information and the knowledge and wisdom to bring forth progress in the future, to get our children in better dynamics that we don't want to see them in that we might have been in. You know, we might have grew up in things because we learned, but they might not have been enforced. So we got to make sure we put forth a guideline and a foundation for them to be able to move that way. This is our job. We have our choice, and we taking it, you know, no joke. No hesitation, foot on the gas, you know. And that's pretty much that. So like I said, I'm gonna tap a lot more into it, a lot more next week when we go in. I'm gonna bring a little bit more. Bring this book I was building on last week too. Go some more information on that, man. But yeah, my key for this video was the brothers dropped a jewel about Larry Hoover, and the whole time we was dealing about communications. They learned about the aspect of being a victim, brings forth so much more bliss than living in the aspect of being a so-called African American, or you know, being a so-called citizen. So you gotta tap into the aspect of what you are, who you are, before you understand the dynamics of that. Right. But it's very important to realize that who you are, what you are, because being blind to that can have you subjected to not living the life that you want to live. Right. Complaining about the 4 acres of the mule and all those things that you want, but you haven't did the due diligence to get those things. Right. That's the key. So communication is the key, man. That's right. Never forget that. Peace and bliss. No AKiE. Signing out. Yeah, man. You know, and heading back to the world, man. Outside, yeah. Signing out, yeah. Yeah, man. Peace and bliss to all the people out there. We definitely see you again soon. I'll be safe. A lot of great more information coming. That was dope. That's right. We're going to definitely bring forth. Yeah. Go. They ain't ready, man.